Hi everyone, today we are going to be learning about Good Friday. So here are the things that you're going to need. In your bag you should have this, which will have all of our ingredients in it. This bag of flax seeds. You'll need some milk or water. You'll need 2 tablespoons of that. A bowl to mix things in and a pan that you can bake on. I also have some olive oil. If your pan is non-stick, you don't need that, but if it's not, then you may want that. You'll need your cross and then the papers that come along with your cross. So let's get started reading our Bible story. Now, if you remember, we left off yesterday in the Garden of Gethsemane. So that's where we're going to pick back up. If you missed that video, that's okay. You can go back and watch that later on. So here we are in the Garden of Gethsemane. Jesus had a good friend named Peter who was there when Jesus healed people and made miracles happen. Jesus liked Peter so much that he gave him the nickname the Rock. Jesus had another friend too, named Judas. Jesus, Peter, Judas, and all the other disciples spent a lot of time together. They were all together when Jesus let them know that his life had to end. It was a sad and hard time for Jesus and his friends. Jesus felt so sad that he went to a quiet place in the Garden of Gethsemane and prayed. "Please, God," Jesus prayed, "make me strong. Help me to trust you." Jesus asked the disciples to come to the garden and stay awake while he prayed, but they accidentally fell asleep. "Wake up, wake up, wake up," Jesus said 3 times to the disciples. When Jesus finished praying, it was time for him to go and face those hard things. Even though Jesus had many friends, he had some bad enemies too. Some people were scared that Jesus would change the world too much with love. Judas was scared too. He let Jesus down. Judas told some of Jesus' enemies where Jesus was. The soldiers came to the garden. Judas kissed Jesus on the cheek to let them know who they were looking for. The soldiers took Jesus away. Judas and Peter ran away and hid. They were so scared. Later, Peter waited outside the place where Jesus was on trial. A girl saw Peter there and said, "Wait, he's a friend of Jesus too. He's in trouble too." Peter wanted to help his friend Jesus, but he was so scared, so he pretended he didn't know Jesus. "I don't know him. I don't know him. I don't know him. I don't know him," Peter said. His lie made him feel even worse inside. Peter ran away. He cried and cried. Peter felt so sad for Jesus, and Peter felt very, very sorry. But Jesus knew that Peter loved him. Jesus knew that Peter was his friend. That's why he had given Peter such a special job. The Rock became a strong leader in the church. He told many people about his best friend, Jesus. "I know him, I know him, I know him," Peter said, and that was the truth. It was a very sad day when Jesus died. The soldiers who had arrested Jesus teased him for pretending to be a king. They took his clothes and put on a king's purple cloak on him. They made a crown of vines with sharp thorns on them. Ouch! They put them on Jesus' head. The soldiers made Jesus carry a very heavy wooden cross. The cross was too heavy for Jesus. Jesus fell and skinned his knees, and the cross tumbled to the ground. A man in the crowd carried the cross for Jesus the rest of the way. The soldiers nailed Jesus' hands and feet to the cross. They raised Jesus' cross up on a hill between 2 other men. The other men were thieves, and they were being crucified too. One of the men was angry with Jesus. "If you're a powerful king, can't you save yourself? Why don't you save us too?" The man spat at Jesus. But the other thief believed in Jesus. He shouted back, "Don't you know who this is? This is God's Son, and he hasn't done anything wrong. We are being punished for our mistakes, but Jesus shouldn't be here." The man turned to Jesus and asked, "Will you please take me to heaven with you?" Jesus looked at the man and loved him. Jesus told him, "Yes, today we will be in heaven together." After a while, the world grew very dark, as if a terrible thunderstorm was coming. It was as if all of creation was crying because Jesus was about to die. Jesus was feeling all alone and prayed to see if God was still there. Of course, God never left Jesus. God was with him the whole time. Jesus looked at the crowd. He was so sad that people didn't believe that he was the Son of God. He asked God to forgive them for killing him. The soldiers offered him some sour wine, but Jesus didn't want to drink it. He was ready to die. Finally, Jesus had fought for long enough. He said, "God, the work you have given me to do is finished." He breathed a final, long, slow breath, and then he died. This is a very sad part of the story, and this is what we remember on Good Friday. Good Friday doesn't sound good, does it? It sounds horrible. But the reason why it's good is because this is when Jesus sacrificed himself for each and every one of us. And that is good because that allows us to be in heaven with him one day. But it is very hard, and it was very hard for his disciples. But we have to remember that this is a to be continued story. This is not where it ends. If this is where it ended, it would be such a sad story. But we are going to be learning more tomorrow, and then of course on Sunday for Easter. So we definitely want to check out those videos too to see what comes next. So we remember yesterday we learned about communion, and when Jesus broke the bread, he said, "This is my body," that he gave to each and every one of us. Well, today we are going to be thinking about his body, how he sacrificed himself, his body for us. And so we are going to be making some bread that we are then going to be able to use for communion for Easter. So if you don't have these ingredients, you didn't have the bag, that's okay. You can make your own bread from home however you want to do it. So what we are going to do is, of course, we want to have washed our hands first. I did that right before our video, but if you haven't done that, make sure you do that first. We are then going to dump this bag in. It has all of our ingredients already in it, so all we have to do is dump that into our bowl. There we go. Next, we are going to make sure that we are taking 2 tablespoons of milk or water that we are going to pour into our bowl. The next part is kind of fun. It's kind of like you're making Play-Doh, but I will warn you, this part is a bit messy. So you are just going to start mixing all of this together. And as it comes together, at first it feels very wet and powdery, but after a while, look at what happens. It starts to turn into a dough, and that's exactly what we want to have happen here. Now, I'm gonna make mine kind of fast right now because we're on our video, but you may wanna take a little bit of time to make sure that you knead that exactly how you want it. But I'm gonna stop right there. Okay, now I am going to spray my pan with some oil, and I'm just gonna rub that around just a little bit because I wanna make sure that my communion bread does not stick. Now, mine that I'm making right here might look a little bit smaller than yours because I still have some left over in the bowl because I haven't fully mixed everything, but that's okay. So you are going to place it on, and what we're going to try to do is we want to make it flat because it is going to puff up some in the oven. So as I am making this flat, if you ever feel like it's getting too sticky, you can add some more flour to it. I'm going to take these off and just wipe off my hands really, really quick with a napkin. And while you look at that, we are trying to make that into a circle. Now, it might not look like a perfect circle, but that's okay because nobody is perfect. But I want my fingers to be clean so that I can do the seeds next. So the next thing we're gonna do, I'm gonna push the edges in just a little bit. That way it's a little more of a circle. And I'm gonna open up my bag of seeds. What we are gonna do with these seeds is we are going to make them into a cross. So you can make that as big or as small as you like. I'm gonna just take a pinch and sprinkle them into the shape that I want. Now, I would recommend that you dry your hands first because as you see, they are sticking to my fingers a little bit. The first time that I made this, I had dried my hands, so they stuck a little bit better. And then I'm gonna go this direction. Ooh. Yeah, this one's definitely not looking super cross-like right now, but that's okay. If they fall out of place, you can just right now brush them into the spot that you want them to be. And that's okay because when they puff up, it might not hold its exact shape either. But I think that looks like a pretty good cross. Now what I'm gonna do is try my best to stick them down in so that when it does puff up, it doesn't push them all out to different sides. All right. We want to have our oven preheated to 450 degrees. And then all we are going to do is put this in the oven for about 10 minutes. But you may want to check on it a little bit earlier to make sure that it's not burning, or it may need to stay in a few extra minutes. That's okay. Your bread is going to be unique to you. So we are going to put this in our oven and let that bake. And then I will show you what mine look like that I've already done. So here are mine that I've already finished. So you can see that my seeds are in the shape of a cross and my bread did puff up a bit. So I'm going to save this so that we can eat this for communion whenever we do that on Easter Sunday. So that is part of our hope as we look forward. Yes, the cross is part of it, and that is sad, but there's also joy that comes with everything too. So the next thing I want you to find in your bag is a cross that looks kind of like this. It should look pretty much almost exactly like this, but this one I've actually had for many, many years. And this is called a hand cross. It's called a hand cross because it fits in your hand very nicely. Like as you can see, I'm just relaxing and holding it because all the edges are so smooth. These crosses are made in Jerusalem, and they are actually, no, I think yours are made in Bethlehem. Some of them are from Jerusalem, some of them are Bethlehem. These ones are made out of olive wood, and they are taken from a tree that's in a way that they don't have to kill the tree. It's just taken the branches that need to be taken off, and they are turned into crosses. And that is very, very special because these come from where Jesus was born. And I want you to have this cross for a few different reasons. One, for you to think about the cross and think about Good Friday and Jesus's sacrifice. But the other thing that pocket crosses or hand crosses are really good for is they are something that you can hold on to when you pray. Or if you're scared, all of us have been scared from time to time. And if you think about Jesus, when he was in the Garden of Gethsemane, he was scared too. He didn't want all of those horrible things to happen to him, but he knew he was going to have to go through it. And so he prayed to God. When we are holding on to our pocket crosses, we can hold them close and pray and know that God is with us always. So you are going to have two little papers. This one is about your crosses specifically. And so this one says that these ones are from the olive trees in Bethlehem and in the Holy Land. And it says their certification because they're special. But then the other thing that we have in it is the Lord's Prayer. And so this is a prayer you may know or you might not know, but this one is a bookmark. And so you can put that in your Bible or you can put it in one of your other books. But if it's a prayer that you don't know, I'd encourage you to try to memorize it. It's a really great prayer that Jesus has taught us. And it also has Psalm 56:3, which says, "When I am afraid, I will trust in you." There can be really scary things that happen in our world, and Jesus went through that fear as well. But we know God is always, always with us. So please pray with me, and we are going to be doing the Lord's Prayer from our card. So please pray with me. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Thanks, everyone. I will see you again tomorrow. Have a great Good Friday.